So some time ago, we talked about a real-time viewport physics system that folks at Adobe demoed, which finally made its way to Substance Stager. And this was a very interesting thing to see, as it just helped out with layout and also how you place things within your scene by simply using physics. Later on, the folks at Side Effects and Maxon adapted this technology, and we waited for when we are going to see this come over to Blender. And it's quite interesting to see that today there is a solution for this, as iWhiteRabbit has just recently released the Physics Drag. Physics Drag is a beautiful tool which you can use to set up your layout composition by dramatically placing objects within your scene with physics. This is currently available on fairmarket.land, and for those who like to take a look at this, you can simply go over to the link in the description that can bring you right here where you can start playing with it. And with that said, let's take a look at how this actually works in Blender. And when Blender simply open, how you get to work with this is extremely easy. All you need to do is go over to Edit, go over to Preference, and go over to the add-on section. Within the add-on section, you need to hit on the Install button and install the Physics Drag. And with the Physics Drag installed, in our case, you can click on the drop-down and you notice that you have an end panel name. In this case, we're just going to set this as physics. Of course, you can set it to whatever you want. Then we can click on the burger menu and save our preference. We're going to close this. And from here, working with this is extremely easy. So let's take this all the way up by tapping G and raising this all the way up. And from here, we're going to create a simple plane. Let's scale this plane all the way. And if we tap N on the keyboard, you'll notice that we have physics. Now with that done, if we click on the physics drop down, we can set this to become a collider. And once we have this as a collider, if we tap F on the keyboard, we can now place this around. Traditionally, for you to move things around your viewport, you need to tap G and then the adequate axis which you can use to move it. But in this case, you do have F as the assigned shortkey which you can use to place things around. More so, you can also make copies. So it doesn't matter if what you have has physics or not, you can go ahead and select them. So we can select all three of those. Let's reduce them, tap F on the keyboard, and they can be placed. The same thing happens with this other one. So we can make multiple copies, and we can of course go ahead, have all of them selected. Let's scale that down as well. And we're just going to move these over to a point. Let's just move them right here. And if we tap F on the keyboard, we can of course go ahead and place them. So this is very, very useful. And I think a lot of people would have fun working with it. Now, this in itself just makes you placing things in terms of layout extremely easy. Let's go ahead and take a look at another example which we prepared for this video. So by default, how you get to place things like we mentioned earlier is you have things selected and then you have to nudge around and place them, which is good. And of course, that is the standard way of doing it. But with this add-on right here, if you go ahead and set any of these objects, in this case, the plane, set this to become a collider, you can have this, tap F on the keyboard, and you can position that. If you like to repulse or attract objects, you can do that by tapping F on the keyboard, and with the object still selected, if you hold down Shift, you can repulse objects or you can attract them. So you can see that happening here. This can be used for so many things. Maybe you do have a couple of crates, maybe some stones, you like to repulse them, attract them, do some stuff with that, because you can go ahead and do that. Interestingly, if you also have your object selected and you hold down Control on the keyboard, you can use that to move the active object in a selection around. Of course, if you also have these selected, you can move this around. I mean, if you have it selected, you can move it around. But then if you do have a collection, say for example, we do have collections like so, let's go in and have all of that. And you would like this to collide with all the other ones, you can do that by tapping F on the keyboard, then holding down Control, and you can use this to place things around. One more thing which I think a lot of you guys would want to know is what type of collision shapes does this support? So that is why we have this other one. So I'm just going to raise this up to a point like so. Let's actually tap F on the keyboard and place that. And for this other one, I'm also going to do the same thing. We're going to scale these. If we go ahead to position this with the traditional way of positioning it, and from here we can now start using some rotations and you know, stuff like that. But we don't want that. We want some dynamic placement. And how we can do that is simple. If we tap F on the keyboard, you would notice that this just simply goes through because our object is not set to a collider. If we set this to a collider, the result we'll be getting will be pretty similar, if not even worse, because if we tap F on the keyboard and remove this, you notice it doesn't go in. The reason is because the shape that we have is set to a convex hull. If we click on the drop down and set this to mesh and we have this selected, let's tap F on the keyboard and then tap Shift to attract all of them together, tap F and move them right in, you would notice that they stay. So in this case, we now have these ones staying in there, and we can tap F to just simply move them around depending on what we want. More so, we can have all of them selected. So we just select all of this in this regards, and we can tap F on the keyboard and move them around. At the same time, you can make multiple copies. So we can tap Shift and D on the keyboard, move that around. We can also just go ahead and have just the pencils or the crayons or the chalks all selected. And if we tap F on the keyboard, we can go ahead and position this back how we would like them to be. So in this case, this can just simply help you position things really quickly. And this, alongside the brand new snapping tool which exists with Blender, makes your placement of meshes on meshes or meshes around your scene super quick. So this is it. For those who are thinking about exploring this, or probably you like to grab it, then you can simply go over to fairmarket.land and check this out. Additionally, White Rabbit has also released a couple of things on Fairmarket, so just in case you like to check them out, then links to this is going to be in the description, so do well to check them out. Tell me what you guys think about this one in the comment section, and of course if you like this video or you learned something from this, you can go ahead and give a like and don't forget to share with a friend. And until I see you guys in the next one, peace.